beautiful vegans. I'm speaking to vegans right now, and I want to make a comparison in this live stream. This is going to be a very bold move. Let me turn the music down so you can hear the boldness of my move today. I'm just coming off a coaching call, which I hosted, and this is like a group that I'm coaching off the records and off the whole social media thing. It's a group of fresh coaches that are teaching how to become coaches, and we talked about certain things that inspired me to actually go live here for you all, for you, my vegan community, and to share some of the insights we looked at there with you because they're really important for us as vegan activists. Okay, so what we talked about today was conversion. Conversion means helping somebody get from one point to another, converting a possible client into a client in the coaching world or any business world where we work with clients, right? And what we're working with actually as activists is we're working with non-vegans, and our intention is to convert non-vegans into vegans, right? Because every new vegan on this planet equals more animal liberation, equals less animals being harmed, and more lives being saved, more compassionate choices. So I want to share something with you that I think is a very interesting example that I learned from being a coach and that can be applied to being a vegan activist. And I do that actually, and I observe how it first of all converts people that are non-vegans more into vegans, and it costs me less drama, less frustration, and less anger. So it's more efficient, and I'm feeling better in my life. I'm more happy. Win-win, right? Win-win. Let me turn the speaker off. So how can we support this conversion process? Look, I see conversion as a process, and I believe I speak for all of us that although when we had this moment of bam, we turned vegan, the shifting moment, before that moment, a lot of little things must have happened that we became ready and open to receive the information. I mean, most of us have seen animal abuse before we went vegan, and it didn't hit home, did it? Like, we didn't click. It didn't make sense to us that we can actually do something there. So there was a process involved. There was like a step A, B, C, D. There was a whole flow of things happening that were leading us up to the moment of, oh my God, I gotta go vegan. Like, holy fucking shit, this is not cool. I gotta stop engaging in anything that involves animal cruelty, right? So there were like all these steps happening. Now I want to give you a little insight, and this is something that I usually don't share because I'm speaking to you as possible clients of mine, but I want to share with you how I convert you from followers to possible clients to actual clients. Now, if you're thinking, oh, this man is manipulating me, keep listening, okay? Because that's not what I'm doing. I'm not able to manipulate you into becoming a client of mine. Why is that? Because I'm an ethical badass. I work ethical based, and I am not interested in selling you something that I don't know is good for you, okay? So in the process of identifying a client, and in your mind, you can always translate everything that I'm saying now to identifying a possible vegan that is just not vegan yet, right? So in my process of identifying a client, I got to make sure that they qualify to be my client. And in order to qualify to be my client, they have to fulfill certain things in their life, in their mindset, in the way they engage with life, etc. So in my example, that means they got to be vegan. I only work with vegans. I only coach vegans. I'm a mental health and mindfulness coach, by the way, in case you didn't get that yet. So I only coach vegans, right? They have to be open for mindfulness and alternative approaches to heal themselves within. And they have to love the idea of using mindfulness and self-healing as a tool to elevate activism. Because the more inspiring we get as individuals, the more we can inspire others. And as vegans, we gotta inspire others, right? We gotta be inspiring for them in order to make them understand that veganism is something beautiful, something needed, something amazing and elevated. Now, I am identifying them before I'm introducing them to my coaching program. Now, maybe some of you have already been introduced to my coaching program. Some of you are inside of my Facebook group, which is called Vegan Mental Health and Mindfulness Academy. And that Facebook group identifies, I only let vegans into that Facebook group, right? So if you're not vegan, you're not getting into that Facebook group. So everybody in my Facebook group is already identified as a possible client for me. Now, that means that when you're walking around in the world and you're seeing somebody in the supermarket who is buying meat, like, I don't know, salami or God knows what stupid thing they're buying, they possibly don't identify as somebody you can talk to at this moment in time in order to turn them vegan, right? They don't identify because where they're at in their process is nowhere near to being receptive for your message, okay? So let's say we could focus more on people that try to do their best when it comes to food. When they say that, I'm trying to do my best, that's an indicator for you to be like, oh, this person is already a bit further in the process to doing the switch to becoming vegan, okay? If somebody's vegetarian for the animals, oh, bless them, amazing choices. They're way closer for you to help them to get to vegan. Helping people getting vegan means helping animals live. You got that, right? Makes sense. So when you identify someone, first things first, I'd encourage you to not waste your time on somebody that you see is clearly not ready and receptive for a discussion about veganism. They're going to be offended, they're going to be attacked, you're going to be triggering these emotions inside of you, and it's going to be a mess. No win-win, no conversion, okay? So what I do with people that I identify as clients, and that also when I apply this concept of my coaching business into the concept of vegan activism, I have to identify first, are they receptive? Are they on the process? And are they ready for a next step? And the next step can just mean a casual conversation about food, about veganism, about animal rights. Doesn't even have to be veganism yet, Very often I don't bring in the word veganism yet in the beginning. I just talk about animal rights. I talk about why I do the things why I do, and I don't use vegan as a word in the beginning, right? It can be very triggering for people. The same way, if I'd reach out to a person for the second time, let's say on Facebook Messenger, and I immediately send you a message that's like, hey, I have a coaching program, I think you should join. You're going to be like, fuck off, you just want my money. That's what a lot of people are doing when somebody just throws something into their face. When I'm saying, I have a coaching program, I think it's good for you, you should join. Then you're going to be like, who the fuck are you to tell me what's good for me? Or who the fuck are you to sell me something? And it's the same response that somebody has when you come to them with the topic veganism, right? Let me know in the comments if you're following so far, if this makes sense to you, right? If not, ask whatever needs to be asked, and I can reiterate or I can explain again or differently. No? So first things first, identify if somebody actually qualifies for a talk with you, because you got to see, for you to become vegan, it took a process. You had to realize things. You had to probably watch a documentary or read something, or you had to see something, and it had to, switch. And before that, many things had to be learned. You had to make certain steps to create that openness. Some of us became vegan for spiritual reasons and now understand the whole bigger picture. Some of us, most of us, I think the real vegans are the ones that become vegan for animal rights, like myself and probably you who's watching. So we got to identify, is that person somewhere in that process further down the road? And if so, do I want to spend my energy on that? Or would I rather spend my energy on someone different? Because there's a difference between, this urge and this will to create those changes in the world and the actual efficiency of it. I think as activists, what fills us up with love is when we're efficient at converting non-vegans into vegans, because that translates into converting death to life, right? We're helping we're helping animals live by letting people become vegan, by helping them along the way. And that's the same thing that I do in my coaching business. I'm helping people along the way, and I'm identifying if they are ready for my coaching program and to understand the value and to enroll at some point, you know. So it's a similar process. I call this the conversion process. So make sure that before you're going into any kind of debate or any kind of fight or any kind of sort of activism, make sure first of all, you know, to center yourself. Because one thing that I also see a lot of vegans do, especially activists, is bring their own emotions into the game. And that just doesn't serve much. You know, you can talk about your emotions, you can share that you feel sadness when you feel this, when you see this, when you see the animal harm. But do you have to bring in the anger and the frustration and the blaming and shaming when you're talking to someone? Do you have to bring in these? I don't think so. I think it's way more efficient to deal with these emotions before and after you go into a debate so that you can come from a calm, balanced, and aligned space. If you don't know how to do that, I've got a coaching program for it. Teaches you everything, all the basic foundations of inner alignment so that you can show up that way, you know? That you can show up in a balanced way and choose those right words to tickle out the vegan in someone. Because I think most people are vegan on the inside. We just gotta tickle that out of them, awaken their vegan spirit, their compassion, their love for all beings. Yeah, that's the first thing. Get yourself centered. Make sure you have any practices around that. I always come to meditation, breath work, or a movement practice before I go into a challenging situation like animal activism, or just talking to a friend about it, or sitting on a table with somebody who's not vegan can trigger a conversation like that, you know? So make sure that you're calm and balanced before that. And then secondly, choose if you want to engage in that conversation or not. Feel, do they qualify to talk about it? It's a fun word to use, do they qualify? But what I mean is, are they open to actually have a constructive conversation about it and take something away from it? Or do they just want to prove their point of view or state their emotions or test you in a weird way or whatnot? Sometimes when I'm really balanced, I'm like, come on, bring it on, test me, you know, I've got the knowledge about it. I can share with you what I think about being non-vegan. But usually that's not a good conversion process. It doesn't really help making people become vegan. What helps making people become vegan is seeing them where they're at, picking them up where they're at. And that doesn't mean you have to coach them. That simply means you have to interact in a conversation with them and share the right bits of information when they are receptive for it. Now this brings me to another very interesting point of view. Every day that they're not receptive for it is a day that they are killing animals indirectly because they're investing in some sort of animal abuse. Correct. So every day that they're not ready to take the next step is a day that means suffering for the animals, which fucking sucks. I agree, it fucking sucks. How can we support that process so that they get there faster, right? How can we do that? Here, I also want to share with you a little insight on how I do that in my coaching business with my clients and about to be clients. Maybe you're one of them, you know. I place them consciously in an environment, or I serve them by creating an environment where they receive constant inspiration, constant resource and insights around the topic that they're seeking or that needs to be awakened in them. In my case, with my coaching business, it is mindfulness, it is mental health, it is inner alignment, it is inner balance, joy, and happiness from a deeper level within. So these are the topics that I'm providing you with content around, right? So I'm basically nourishing that part of you that needs to grow and pop and really get ready to evolve on this journey of mindfulness and get your mental health on track in that deep layer. Now, how do we apply that to non-vegans, right? How can we serve them by creating an environment for them that can help them step by step get closer to the point where they're ready to pop, where they're ready to be vegan, where they're ready to understand, holy fuck, I've been doing this, it's been terrible, never ever again, I'm vegan from this second for the rest of my life. How can we do that? How can we create an environment for them? Now, If you're doing it online, of course you can share and share and share and share all of these terrible, horrible, informational pieces of content like footage of slaughterhouses, images, you can share that. And I think it can hit home for some people. But what that often does, and I see that, is it creates debates and discussions, correct? Like sharing all this terrible footage creates triggers. And this is not an environment where somebody is growing towards it. Hear me out. I'm not saying don't post it. I'm saying post that, but not only. But not only. Provide somebody with this whole perspective of what veganism is about, right? And in essence, veganism is about life and beauty, about living, about letting life live, about letting animals be free, correct, right? That's the bigger picture. So how can we show that more and bring both perspectives in? Bring in a perspective where somebody is constantly surrounded by the topic veganism, but in a way that they are not always triggered by it or shut down by it. When you show a butcher or somebody who works in that field still footage of that, they're going to be shutting down. They're going to go into an automated trauma response. Maybe they're traumatized. Maybe they are going to go into a mode of fuck you, who are you to tell me what job I should do and what not? Maybe they are going to go into that mode, right? And that can be okay, but not all the time. So how can we provide an environment as an individual on social media where somebody is being surrounded by the aspects of veganism, which can be health, it can be animal rights, it can be showing the beauty of animals that live in a sanctuary, connecting them with that, and we can do that online by sharing content. It's super easy. You copy a link of a YouTube video, you post it on your Facebook wall, bam, shared, your friends see it. Super easy. How can we apply that in a discussion, in a conversation with someone? How can we do that, right? Well, we choose what we talk about with them, right? And we choose what emotions we bring in. If we're making a post online that is very offensive, very direct, very like fuck you all non-vegans and I hate you and look at what you're doing, you're contributing it, would you say that to someone in the face? First question. And second question, if you would that provide them with an environment where they could grow open to the idea, or are they just gonna create an image of all vegans are fuckheads and really angry against non-vegans, right? So we gotta play this smart. I'm not saying you cannot feel those emotions, honey, because I do feel those emotions and I understand those emotions really well. Been vegan for 5 years now. I really dig it, I get it. But we gotta play it a bit smarter here. We gotta play it a bit smarter. We gotta create an environment in a conversation where we let them take the steps. So what we can do is we can ask questions. We can ask questions instead of stating statements. We can ask them what they think about it. And then when they've said what they think about it, we can say, look, I've done it for that and that and that reason. Do you agree? Do you not agree? How do you feel about that? Like really, like put some spotlight on them, Because at some point they're going to run themselves into a situation where they're in a dilemma and they're like, I actually have no excuses left. And then is the moment where you should not judge them, because that is going to close the conversion. That's going to, that's going to close the process of conversion down. It's not going to let them thrive into the conversion. And that's what we're here for to do as vegan activists. If we play it smart and if we elevate our activism to that state, that's one thing, by the way, that I speak about a lot, is the concept of elevated activism versus offensive aggressive activism, then we can achieve a higher conversion rate. Believe me, the discussions that I have with people these days, when I apply these things, they leave the conversation inspired. They have the same opinion as I do, and then it's just a matter of, okay, where do you need to apply it then? Can you replace your eggs? Yeah. Do you need to see another, like here in Bali, we have these trucks with the chickens that are encaged and completely stuck between rusty like these layers? Do you need to see that again, or do you need to switch by watching a whole freaking scenario? Like, I've seen people kill animals on the streets. It's not, you can have it on video or not. Or do you get it? And now do you need help to just, get your habits in order? Change your habits. Hey, Sasha. Yes, it's beautiful to see you live. Yeah, it's so much more fun live, actually, I think, because like I see 5 people are watching, and I know this is a monologue so far, but I love when I know that people are there. This is such a different feeling from just recording a video, I'm like, I know you're watching. Let me know in the comments who you are, because Facebook doesn't show me who you are, right? So I've been talking about this concept of elevated activism and how to vegans into vegans by giving you some fun examples that are based on my coaching experience and how I convert non-clients into possible clients into clients, right? And I think this is a really cool way of Marlene, of course you can keep it. I think you can even download it, or I can send it to you later per email, or I can upload it to YouTube. I will upload this to YouTube so you can watch it on YouTube. And Elle is here. Mwah. Hey, Elle, much love to you. So, like how I apply these concepts that I learned as a coach and as somebody who loves you through the process of like becoming a part of my world, engaging in my world. And if you really want to dive deep, get into one of my coaching containers. It's the same conversion process that I apply when I view a non-vegan. Like, I view them as they are in the process. They are in the process, and what can I do to make that process faster? Because if I can make it 1 year earlier that they turn vegan by saying some specific things or holding a loving space for them in that process, I'd save so many 100 lives if they would go vegan 1 year earlier, rather than shaming and blaming them so it takes them 5 years to go vegan after the talk that I had with them, That's real efficiency. That's what we as activists, as vegans, have to think about. The bigger long-term picture of what we say, how we interact with non-vegans. Because the way we interact as a vegan, remember, you're a representative, especially if you're publicly out as a vegan, you're a representative of veganism. And as an activist, completely, you're putting yourself out there for veganism, right? You're putting yourself out there for veganism. And if you do that, how can we play it smarter? How can we hold space for somebody so that they can come to the step of, oh, I'm going to turn vegan now in a couple of months from now, or in a year from now, latest, like please, latest, But I know people that, okay, let's talk about my mistakes. When I turned vegan, the first thing that I did was I got really pissed off, I got really angry, and I would blame and shame people for not being vegan. Blame and shame people for not being vegan. What that did is I see those people now still on social media, or I have contact with some of them here and there. Old friends from my school time or my education time as a graphic designer. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7 years in the past. And I see them, none of those are vegan, and they remember me as angry and blaming and shaming vegan. And so every day that they're not vegan, they're consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, whatever it is, they're harming animals. And I contributed to that image of June is extreme, he's angry, he's pissed off, I don't want to be like that. So I contributed to the process of conversion that they're still in it, but I made it slow down. Do you hear what I'm saying? I made it a slow down. And that's not what I want. I want it to speed it up, I want them to become vegan as fast as they can so less animals suffer. And that's why I made this live stream here, to give you a little insight on how we can do that, with giving you a perspective on what I do as a coach, how I convert people as a coach, how I hold space for them to warm up to the idea to become a client If they are my ideal client. If they're not, I'm not even bothering, They can show up whenever they're ready. I don't need to force somebody to become my client. Like, I'm good, like when you're ready, you show up. That's how I see it. And it's the same with veganism. But how can I act and interact with you in that process? Can I be loving, humble, and inspiring? Or can I be a judgmental fuckface who said, you better sign up now, because why wait 6 more months? In 6 more months, you will be thinking, holy fuck, why didn't I sign up to his program earlier? Of course, I think that when I'm thinking about my veganism journey, I think, holy fuck, why did it take me 20 years of my life, 21 actually, 21 years of my life to become vegan? I wish it would have happened earlier. But earlier, there were vegans in my life. They were talking to me. But but it didn't hit home. And they didn't talk to me in that loving, humble way, unless one came along. One guy came along. Oh my God, let me tell you this. This is such a cool story. By the way, before I tell you this story, let me know in the comments, is my live stream smooth? Because I'm getting some messages from Facebook that it's not smooth. But give me like a thumbs up or an okay if you can see and hear me clearly. Marlene says, I think it's a very inspiring what you say. I have attempted a few safe squares now, and it's very interesting to talk to people. I try to ask questions instead of talking a lot. Amazing, Marlene. That's the approach. Ask questions. Let them be in the spotlight. Let them walk the walk. You just hold the space. You just put your flashlight on where their next step is going to be so they can make the step in the conversation. Okay, still waiting for some comments. Give me some heads up if you're still hearing me. I think it should be fine. And then let me tell you the story of that first vegan that came into my life. His name was Tom. He was in Switzerland. And the way he held space for me made me become vegan just a couple of months later. Sam, the topic is how can we convert non-vegans into vegans? And I'm giving some examples that are based on my coaching experience. So I'm talking to vegans in this live stream and how we can support people, and with that indirectly animals, in order to, because we want to free animals, we want to see them live, and being vegan is one super easy way on how we can support animals in living by not paying to slaughter them, for example. Anyway, so when I met Tom, I wasn't vegan. And that was about 6 years ago, I think. It was about 6 years ago. Sasha, stream is good. Thank you so much. It was about 6 years ago, and I wasn't vegan. I was vegetarian, and I was quite health oriented. I was like, I didn't drink milk at the time. I ate eggs and cheese. But back then, I didn't want, and I had a friend who was always like, you shouldn't eat cheese. And I was like, fuck you, it's organic cheese from the Swiss mountain Alps, and I love it, leave me alone. So he threw judgment at me, and I responded like that, I responded with a shutdown. So he obviously didn't watch this live stream. Of course he couldn't, because it's in the past. Anyway, so I met Tom, and the story is actually really interesting. I used to go to work by train in Switzerland. So one day there was, I think there was an incident. Maybe somebody jumped in front of the train, committed suicide. I don't know what it was, but the train stopped halfway from my workspace till home. So it's like a 30-minute train ride, and in the middle it stopped. So we had to exit the train, and we got escorted to this small train station close by. We walked there, and we arrived there, and we had to wait for buses, and the train was packed. It was 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. Everybody stopped working, went home, like the classic 9 to 5. People in Switzerland do it a lot, and people worldwide do that a lot. Anyway, so we arrived there, and then we were waiting for these buses, and they got filled up, and the whole train company was overwhelmed with arranging buses to get us home, or to get us from there to the place where we needed to go, where the train would have went, but it didn't go. And then there was this one dude who was like doing car lifting. Like, he had his thumb up at the side of the road, and he was like looking for a lift. And I walked up straight to him, and I was like, that's a smart move, I'm gonna join you. So I did, We got a car. We were at the train station we intended to go to way earlier before everybody else with their buses, and we had a quick chat inside of this car. And turned out he was vegan and active, very active, like full on passionate vegan activist. And the only thing that he was doing when I was talking to him and I figured out he was vegan, I was like, yeah, I'm vegetarian, you know, the classic thing that vegetarians talk about when a vegan says they're vegan. You're like, yeah, I'm vegetarian. I'm like, same as you. No, you're not. He didn't say that though. He was just listening. He was just listening. He was listening to me and he appreciated my efforts. He said, that's beautiful. And I wasn't like, we didn't have enough time for a long conversation, but he was just listening and he was like I'm vegan and I'm an activist, I'm doing things. And I was like, whoa, that's extreme, like, whoa. And he was like, yeah, it is here and there, but like I really want to put my efforts into helping animals. And he made that so smooth and clear. 2 months later I was vegan. 2 months later I walked into a movie theater, I watched a documentary, bam, overnight vegan. I was like, I'm never gonna contribute to that shit anymore. And I always remember how loving he held space. And so I asked him, because when I turned vegan, I got really pissed off and angry and I went into activism and I was like, oh my God, this sucks, you know? And so I asked him, hey, I'm really struggling to like stay calm and stuff. And like, I remember our conversation in that car back then. Why weren't you pissed at me? Like, I'm pissed at vegetarians now. I'm like, you didn't get it yet, you know? Like, why didn't you judge? Like, what was happening? And he was like, look, June, you were on your path. I didn't have to do anything. I knew it's gonna happen, and I knew it's gonna happen quite soon. So why should I throw something at you that is gonna like block you down a bit more if I could just hold space for your process, knowing that it's gonna happen quite soon? And with that space, he supported my process in becoming vegan by having this perspective of, oh, he was a kind vegan, he was cool, and he was an extreme activist. You know, back then I was like, that's extreme. You're an activist, that's extreme. And he was just humble and loving. 2 months later, I was vegan. If he would have said something different, it might have taken me a year to open up to the idea of veganism again. And you know that 2 months of not being vegan costs more animal lives than, 1 year of not being vegan costs more animals' lives than 2 months of being not vegan. You get the point? Bet you do. I think that's everything I wanted to share with you. And I see that quite some people have tuned in, and thanks for commenting. Sasha, Marlene, Elle has joined in, Sam, thank you all for watching this. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube as well. If you're not on my YouTube channel yet, then what are you doing? Where are you hanging out? I've yesterday updated my website and I've linked everything. My newsletter, I'm sending out a new newsletter since recently. I've linked my YouTube, I've linked my Facebook. I have a Facebook group, most of you are members in it. It is for vegans and it's called the Vegan Mental Health and Mindfulness Academy. So if you're interested in these concepts that I'm talking about, if you want to elevate your inner world into a more calm, balanced, and mindful space so you can hold space for those non-vegans to become vegan faster and save more animals faster, join my group. I'll leave you with the link to my website in the comments right now, and I'll also leave you with the link to my Facebook group in the comments right now, so you can send a request to join. Remember, I'm only letting you in if you are vegan. As we talked about in the beginning of this live stream, do you qualify for this group? Is the same thing as do you qualify to actually have an in-depth conversation with me about veganism? For example, you know, does somebody qualify? Does somebody qualify? Gotta ask yourself that question. Are you gonna put that energy into a discussion? Are they ready for a discussion? Will they walk away with a new sense of viewing the world, or at least being one step closer to it? So here's the link to my Facebook group. Send a request to join. And yeah, share this video with everybody. I think that was fucking insightful, honestly. Like what I've riffed up in these 35 minutes. Golden insights. So share them with your people. If you want, share this video once it's uploaded as a recording with your friends on your Facebook profile. Always appreciative of that. And if you feel like, holy shit, June, You're epic, and so are you, by the way. We're both epic, and you want to be epic with me. You really want to dive deep and work with me. On my website, as I've shared the link with you, I have my program, which is called the Become Your Medicine program, and that's basically the space where I really get to work with you. And when you're in the program, you're getting access to modules, you're getting access to breathwork, meditation, mindfulness practices, everything you need to know to find that deep inner balance for the rest of your life, to teach it to your kids if you want to, like to pass it down to the next generations. And we can talk about working together as well if you're ready for that. Mwah! Much love. Thank you for watching.